We are looking at work, energy, and power in physics. Work, energy, and power in physics. So the first thing that we are going to do, we are going to define energy, work, and power. So define energy. So energy, it is the ability to perform work, or energy is the ability or capacity to perform work. So energy, it is the ability or capacity to do work. That is what we call energy. So energy is the ability or capacity to do work. Remember that energy is calculated in joules. B, work. So work is defined as the product of the force and the displacement in the direction of the force. It is the product of the force and the displacement in the direction of the force. So where there is displacement, sometimes you can say it is the product of the force and the distance. In the direction of the force. So remember, the work is done when a force moves. So without a movement, there cannot be work. So power. So power, it is the rate at which work is done. It is the rate at which work is done. So it's the rate at which work is done. So number 2, a boulder of mass 4 kg rolls over a cliff and reaches the beach below with a velocity of 20 meters per second. So find the kinetic energy of the boulder as it lands. So find A, the kinetic energy of the boulder as it lands. So remember that kinetic energy, it is the energy a body has due to its motion. So I'll start with a definition of kinetic energy in case you don't know the definition of kinetic energy. So I'll say kinetic energy it is the energy a body has because of its motion. So in case you don't know the definition of kinetic energy, that is the definition of kinetic energy. So now find kinetic energy. So kinetic energy is given by this formula. Kinetic energy is equal to 1/2 times mass times velocity squared. So in this case, we have been given mass as 4 kg. We have been given velocity as 20 meters per second. So mass is given to be 4 kg. Velocity is given to be 20 meters per second. So now we are looking for kinetic energy. So kinetic energy is equal to 1/2 times mass. It is 4 times velocity squared, so which is 20 squared. Okay, so when we use a calculator, we are going to say kinetic energy is equal to, so the F of 4 is 2 times 20 squared. It means 20 times 20, which is 400. So times 400. So 400, that is 20 to the power 2. So 20 to the power 2, it means 20 times 20, which is 400. So kinetic energy is equal to 2 times 400. The answer is 800 joules. So that is kinetic energy. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, Mr. Rafa Online Tuitions. B, find the potential energy of the boulder when it was at the top of the cliff. So B, find the potential energy of the boulder when it was at the top of the cliff. So remember that potential energy, it is the energy a body has due to its condition or due to its position. So that is what we call potential energy. So potential energy, it is the energy a body has because of its condition or state. Because of its condition or state. That is what we call potential energy. Now the question is, find potential energy of the boulder when it was at the top. So potential energy is given by this lovely formula. Potential energy is equal to mass times gravity times height. So mass we have, that is 4 kg. Gravity, we know it is 10, but we do not have height. And in this question, they are saying, find the height of the cliff. So in this case, you need to consider what we call energy conservation. So energy conservation, what does it state? So energy conservation, it states that energy cannot be created, energy cannot be destroyed, but it can only change from one form to the other. So that simply means that in this case, there was a change. It started with potential energy. Then potential energy changed to kinetic energy, of which kinetic energy we have calculated, it is 800. So we consider energy conservation. Energy conservation. Energy conservation. So in this case, consider energy conservation. So energy conservation. So what does it state? It states that energy cannot be destroyed or created, but can change from one form to the other. So that is what we call energy conservation. So I want to give you this simple illustration. simple illustration. According to the question, we have this is, let me say, this is a beach, and this is like a rock. This is like a rock, okay? And this is where the boulder is, okay? So at this point, potential energy is 800 joules. Then kinetic energy is 0. So as it falls, it will reach the middle where potential energy becomes 400 joules, which is the half of 800. Then kinetic energy increases to 400 joules. So as it hits the beach there, as it hits or as it lands, kinetic energy becomes 800 joules, then potential energy 0. So in this case, energy, we are saying it cannot be destroyed. It cannot be created, but it can only change from one form to the other. So at this point, this object, this body, was possessing potential energy. As it begins to move, it will begin to change from potential to kinetic. Okay? So from 800 to 0, from 0 to 800. So in this case, for us to find potential energy, so potential energy is equal to kinetic energy is equal to 800 joules according to energy conservation. Don't forget to comment. I want to hear the feedback. Comment. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Okay, C, find the height of the cliff. So for us to find the height of the cliff, we are going to use the formula for potential energy. That's where we have height. So we are going to use the formula for potential energy. That's where we have height. So potential energy is equal to mass times gravity times height. So potential energy, we have, it is 800 joules. So mass, it is 4 kg times gravity, it is 10. Then height is what we want. So from here, remember 4 times 10, that is 40. So I'll divide throughout with 40, So 40 and 40 goes. So height is equal to 0, 0 goes. So 4 into 80, it is 20 meters. So that is the height. I hope you are enjoying. So don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, Mr. Rafa Online Tuitions. Also,